Welcome to the Daily Parks and Rec Show from the CPRS Conference 2026. In this episode, we sit down with Brian Scott and Dustin Flentie from CivicPlus, a leading force in parks and recreation software solutions. With over 2 decades of innovation and thousands of communities served, CivicPlus is helping agencies streamline everything from registrations and rentals to communication and accessibility compliance. We dive into how technology, especially AI and evolving accessibility standards, is reshaping the future of parks and rec, and why creating seamless, user-friendly experiences matters now more than ever. Plus, we explore a bigger question: what truly makes parks and recreation an essential service in every community? Let's dive in.
All right, this is Craig LeBlanc at the Daily Parks and Rec Show. We're live again from the California Parks and Rec Society annual convention here in 2026. And we have one of the great software vendors of Parks and Recreation, been at it a while. So just welcome Dustin and Brian to the show. How are y'all doing today?
Good. Beautiful day here.
So tell us a little bit about how the convention's going. Y'all both been to this one, or how many years have y'all been attending CPRS?
I mean, as a company, we've been attending CPRS 7-8 years now. Dustin, what was that?
Yeah, I've been here. This is number 8 for me.
Fantastic. And are y'all both from California, or do y'all kind of travel to this? Where are y'all from?
I'm from Manhattan, Kansas,
A little bit of a difference.
which is where our headquarters is at. So it's a cool little oasis in the middle of Kansas. But we're so happy to be here in California, especially with the weather.
Fantastic. So tell us a little bit about your software. What does it do, and kind of how did y'all get into software? Maybe do y'all have the kind of the history of the company and how it came in?
Yeah, I can jump in on that one. So been around for about 25 years now. Started in really just doing websites for local government, and then saw that bigger need to help out the parks and recreation side of the house, and went and got some software and really put the CivicPlus name behind it and built it up to the beast that it is today. And yeah, it's been a fun ride. We've been in that space for since the same amount of years we've been at CPRS, so about 8 years in the parks and recreation software world.
And so what are the kind of some of the new functionalities that are kind of, because it seems like with AI and all the different software tools and stuff, there's always new stuff that parks and recreation can use for software.
Yeah, of course, AI is important, right? Something that's also really important that's coming up now is here in April, we got the new accessibility guidelines coming out, which is basically saying, Parks and Rec, we've done a good job getting our gyms, our rec centers, getting all that stuff ADA compliant, but your website, which is your online space, that also now has to be compliant as well. And with the new guidelines coming out in April, there's a big push for that. And that's what we focus on in our company. We got ahead of it. We've been ahead of that game for years now, so making sure that we have the tools in place. Because the big question is, what does happen when that turns on? Are you going to be compliant? Is the DOJ going to hit you? What does that mean? That's something that's been really important. Big piece of recreation software is right now.
Now, for those that maybe, fortunately or unfortunately, you have a lot of Parks and Rec departments that are still kind of doing things the old-fashioned way. What's kind of an early use case for your software? We could say, well, maybe just as a camp registration, or maybe what are kind of some of the first functionalities that you're working on for departments?
It depends on the Parks and Rec department. Activity registration, very important. They say using the camps, facility rentals as well. Having that all-inclusive software that can accommodate everything. Communicating with your community, really important. In the same platform, not having to jump to it. Efficiency is huge. We want to do more with less, and that's been our company motto for a long time. Especially with budget cuts, everyone works on the budget. A lot of cuts. I just heard someone talk earlier today. They were losing $1 million this year, and they're worried about losing their people. We don't want to replace people, but we're there to support that and make life easier for our employees.
Ryan, anything to add to that?
I think Dustin hit the nail on the head there. I mean, all encompassing, all in one. People want to go online and do this stuff with the registration, the rentals at 9 p.m. on a Friday night at home in their underwear.
Yeah.
Versus having to take time off of their day to come see you in person, take down staff time, and maybe hand you a check. Those days are long gone. People want to do this stuff. Thanks to Amazon, thanks to Chewy.com, thanks to Rothy's, with the plugs. My wife buys those shoes all the time.
Yeah.
Those things show up in the mailbox all day because it's a really easy online system.
Now, is it easy enough for somebody not familiar with your software, and let's just say they're a parent registering their child, can they do everything online without having to involve a person?
Absolutely. If they can shop on Amazon, they can purchase with Civic recreation management.
And what do they call that in the software world? I think Amazon kind of popularized that to where, I don't know about y'all, but I've never spoken to anybody at Amazon. It seems like I do all the work, putting in information and stuff. Kind of what's that called as far as software development? Making it to where your end user can use it without having to touch a person.
It's actually pretty simple, just usability, ease of use. And if you want to get in the technical terms, you got UI, you got UX, you got user experience, and then you have, of course, user interface.
And how large is y'all's company?
Man, since I've been there, it's kind of a cool story I like to tell because my passion's coming up a lot and that's that. Since I started, I was employee number 123, and then since then now we're over 1,000. But you think about like the communities that we serve. When I started 12 years ago, we only served 1,500 communities in the U.S. and Canada, and now we're up, man. We're over 10,000 communities in the U.S. and Canada. And we only work with local government, and if you do the math, that's also 400 million citizens in Canada. If you do that math, there's about 440 million citizens in the U.S. and Canada. So pretty close to serving every single human and being able to impact their lives and make it easier for them to interact with government.
Yeah. Now, are there any other things that y'all are working on as far as new functionality that y'all are onboarding?
Well, as long as you don't share this with our companies, we get our hands slapped for selling all the cool stuff. Now, something really big that I mentioned, the web accessibility piece. Also, we just launched like a new mobile upgrade for what we're doing on the software side for the public to have a better mobile experience. And then also new is coming out through the calendar side of the house, being able for internal use, being able to manage and see what you're doing, all your rental registrations, everything you have online as far as what can be done.
Now, do you offer anything for facilities maintenance crews or anything like that, or special events?
Yeah, we do. We also offer permitting, special events. I mean, you name it.
Fantastic. Well, now let's talk about CPRS. Y'all attend a lot of different trade shows, I imagine all of them.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anything specific about California and how they do Parks and Rec a little bit differently?
I would say they do it better. That's probably a test for some other conferences, but I'll let him give his 2 cents. Why?
I was at breakfast this morning. He was talking to a guy, and he said he loved it. I was like, good luck, have fun. He's like, it really is a fun atmosphere the whole week. The people out here want to have fun, and it's not just at the conference, it's the socials at night. That's really where the great networking happens. And it feels like a big family. It doesn't feel like we're out here working. And that's what's nice about it. This is a normal thing. It's not awkward. A lot of social settings, if it's in business, it can be awkward. But out here, people are they're down to earth, and they love hanging out and having fun.
Hey, Joey, can you play that little promo that we made for why Parks and Rec should be considered an essential service? And then I'd love to get y'all's take on it. I don't know if y'all remember during COVID, a lot of Parks and Rec department got slashed and the budget shut. Everything was closed. And it was then I think America woke up to how important Parks and Rec is as an essential service, not just police and fire and healthcare, but that Parks and Rec is something that we absolutely need in our communities. So, Joey, why don't you go ahead and play that quick promo, and I'd love to get that y'all's feedback on it.
When we talk about essential services, what comes to mind? Police, firefighters, healthcare. But there's another essential service, often overlooked, yet always present. Parks and recreation. Parks and Rec is health. It's the walking trail that lowers blood pressure, the recreation center where seniors fight isolation, the swim lessons that prevent tragedy before it happens. This isn't a luxury, it's a lifeline.
Hey, Joe, we had a hard time hearing the audio on that one, but essentially what it says is how, Parks and Rec, and I can speak a little bit on it, Parks and Rec basically is essential because if you think of the seniors that are fighting isolation, or the worker who just needs a park to walk in, or maybe like a family reunion, and that this is definitely something that builds our community. I like to look at it as Parks and Rec is kind of like not so much the responsive side, when you think of police having to show up when something's already happened, but what does a healthy community look like, and how does Parks and Rec play its role in that? So kind of what have y'all seen that you would say Parks and Rec is absolutely an essential service versus something that we can just turn off?
I'm still heavily involved athletically. That's kind of what brought me to CivicPlus. I was a lifeguard growing up through high school. I worked at the lake. I was one of the lawnmower guys, and then played college sports. And now I'm still doing pickleball, doing wiffle ball. Plug for the wiffle ball people that want to start a wiffle ball league. Do it. It's so much fun. It's so nostalgic to bring back for the adults. But really being out there and in the community and in nature. We're so isolated, especially via COVID. I mean, everyone's inside. People want to get out. They need to get out. They need an escape. And we work remote. Brian and I both do. And getting a reason to get out of the house and get out there and do it. So it is an essential thing.
Fantastic. Anything to add to that, Brian?
Yeah, I'd say you hit the nail on the head there. I mean, COVID definitely changed a lot of perspective. And because of that, a lot of people start taking vacations, right? So all that, people still want to do something. All that fell on Parks and Rec. And where government is expected to do so much more with less. Being able to be that local hero, which is what I call Parks and Rec, serve your community, actually impact your community, create better relationships, create a happy community. That all goes to Parks and Rec. And I've been in all parts of the spectrum of CivicPlus. I chose to come to the Parks and Rec side of the house just because Parks and Rec people are genuine, and there's a bigger purpose for actually how you're serving the community. I mean, police, fire, they're great, but we're all biased, right? That's what we're here for, Parks and Rec. Parks and Rec is the way to be. That's all I got to say.
Fantastic. Well, Dustin and Brian, thank y'all so much for stopping by the booth and saying hello to America on Parks and Rec. We chose to create this media company for Parks and Rec specifically because there really just wasn't not a lot of people telling the story of Parks and Recreation. So I appreciate y'all stopping by, and hope you have a great rest of y'all's convention.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you. That's a wrap. Thanks a lot, Tim.
Are you a vendor, brand, or service provider ready to connect with the heartbeat of local communities? At DPRS Media Co., we tell the stories shaping parks and recreation across America. Through podcasts, live streams, videos, and newsletters, we reach frontline leaders, city directors, and decision makers every single week. From youth sports and facilities to programming and policy, our audience is your audience. Sponsoring or partnering with DPRS Media Co. puts your brand in front of the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. Launching a new product, growing your presence in public spaces, targeting cities, counties, or departments, DPRS is your trusted media partner. Whether you're in software, turf, aquatics, robotics, smart cities, or special events, partnering with DPRS puts your brand in the story. With commercials, interviews, social campaigns, newsletters, and live shows, we're your media team. Partner with us and grow your impact in the $200 billion Parks and Rec industry. DPRS Media Co. Stories that move Parks and Rec forward. Your audience is here. Let's meet them.